In the first few seconds of a life, you can't tell the pauper from the prince. In the last few, you can't tell the millionaire from the vagrant. But in the messy, difficult middle, we build walls to separate ourselves using money, status, and cruelty. This is the story of Anna Schmidt, a waitress who was mocked for showing kindness to a fallen old woman. But her critics, in their expensive clothes and with their hard hearts, had no idea that their entire world was about to be torn down by the one person they thought didn't matter. The Gilded Spoon was not a restaurant, it was a performance. Every night, the curtains rose on a stage of gleaming mahogany, crystal glasses that cost more than a month's rent, and patrons who wore their entitlement like a second skin. And every night, Anna Schmidt was one of the invisible stagehands, moving silently in the wings, desperate not to miss a cue. At 24, Anna felt 90. She was a ghost in a crisp black apron, her dreams suffocated by the heavy practical weight of reality. Her life was a ledger of debts, her mother's lingering hospital bills, her younger brother Cody's tuition for a special trade school, and the rent on her tiny, drafty one-bedroom apartment. Sleep was a luxury she couldn't afford. She worked double shifts at the Gilded Spoon, a place that reminded her with every polished fork what she was not. Her manager, Mr. Giles Henderson, was a man who seemed to have been born in a starched suit. His voice was a thin, reedy instrument that specialized in two notes, fawning obsequiousness to the guests and razor-sharp contempt for his staff. "Schmidt," he hissed, his voice cutting through the dinner rush. Anna flinched, nearly dropping a tray of cocktails. "Table 7. The Wainwrights. They said their water is tepid." "Tepid? Are you trying to personally bankrupt me, girl? Do you know who they are? That's Robert Wainwright. He could buy this block and turn it into a parking lot for his dog. Now fix it." "Yes, Mr. Henderson. Right away." She scurried to table 7, her face a neutral mask. "Mr. and Mrs. Wainwright, my sincere apologies. I will replace this water for you immediately." Mrs. Wainwright, a woman dripping in diamonds that seemed to hold more warmth than her eyes, didn't even look at Anna. She was speaking to her husband. "And then, Robert, I told the board, if we can't secure that Hampton property, what's the point? It's simply primitive." "Indeed, my dear," Robert Wainwright murmured, before glancing at Anna as if she were a piece of furniture that had suddenly squeaked. "See that you do." Anna retreated to the service station, her hands shaking slightly. Beside her, Brenda Sutton, the senior waitress, was polishing a wine glass with exaggerated vigor. Brenda was all sharp angles and a sharper smile. She had seniority, and she made sure Anna never ever forgot it. "Trouble in paradise, Schmidt," Brenda whispered, her voice laced with sweet venom. "You've got to learn, sweetie. These people don't want a servant. They want an absence. You're too present, too clumsy. You're practically breathing on them." "I was just replacing their water, Brenda." "And you managed to mess that up," Brenda scoffed. "Henderson's got his eye on you. He's looking to make cuts before the holiday. I'd watch your step. You're the last one hired, and you'll be the first one fired." Anna just nodded, refilled the diamond-clear water pitcher with ice, and returned to the table, her spine straight, her face impassive. But inside, panic was a cold knot in her stomach. Brenda was right. She was clumsy. She was present. She couldn't afford this job, but she desperately couldn't afford to lose it. She spent the next 3 hours in a state of high alert. She delivered $300 plates of seared scallops with choreographed precision. She refilled wine glasses without a single drop spilling. She smiled until her face ached. The Wainwrights at table 7 ran her ragged, complaining about the lighting, the volume of the ambient music, and a perceived draft from the window. Each complaint was a small paper cut, and Anna was bleeding out. As the night wound down, the restaurant slowly emptied. The clinking of silver faded, replaced by the hushed sounds of the staff cleaning. Anna was tasked with polishing the brass railing at the entrance, a job Henderson always gave her when she'd been deficient. Outside, the city had turned ugly. A cold October storm had blown in, and rain was lashing against the floor-to-ceiling windows. The wind howled, a low, mournful sound that mirrored the ache in Anna's feet. She was rubbing a stubborn smudge from the brass, her mind already on the long, cold bus ride home, when the heavy oak door creaked open, letting in a violent gust of wind and rain. Anna looked up, annoyed, expecting a late-arriving guest. But it wasn't a guest. It was a woman, or what looked like the ghost of one. She was old, perhaps in her late 70s, with wild silver hair matted to her skull by the rain. She wore a thin, threadbare cardigan over what looked like faded flower print pajamas. Her feet were bare, save for one bright, pink, fuzzy slipper. She was soaked to the bone, shivering violently, and her eyes were wide with a profound, terrifying confusion. She took 1, 2, 3 wobbly steps onto the pristine, imported marble floor, leaving a trail of muddy water. Then with a soft, helpless sigh, her knees buckled. She didn't just fall, she collapsed, crumpling into a wet heap right in the doorway of the Gilded Spoon. For a second, the world stopped. Anna froze, her polished rag in hand. Mr. Henderson, counting receipts at the host stand, looked up. His face, moments before relaxed, contorted into a mask of pure disgust. The silence in the restaurant was absolute, broken only by the drumming of the rain and the old woman's hitched, frightened breathing. She was trying to push herself up on one elbow, her movements frail and uncoordinated. "Good heavens," Mr. Henderson breathed, his voice dripping with revulsion. He didn't move from behind the safety of his podium. "Not here, absolutely not." Brenda Sutton emerged from the kitchen, a tray of empty glasses in her hand. She stopped short, her upper lip curling. "Oh, you've got to be kidding me. What is that?" The last remaining patrons, the Wainwrights, who were lingering over a final glass of brandy, turned in their seats. "Giles!" Mr. Wainwright called out, his voice sharp with annoyance. "What is the meaning of this? This is an exclusive establishment, not a city shelter. Remove it. Remove it. Not her." Mr. Henderson snapped into action, but not toward the woman. He marched toward Anna. "Schmidt, don't just stand there gawking. Call security. Get that thing out of the doorway before it soils the carpet." Anna looked from Henderson's furious face to the woman on the floor. The woman's eyes met hers. They were blue, clouded with fear, and utterly lost. In that moment, Anna didn't see a thing or a vagrant. She saw her own mother in her last confusing days. "She's hurt," Anna said, her voice quiet but firm. She dropped the rag and took a step forward. "I don't care if she's dying," Henderson hissed, grabbing Anna's arm. "This is a 5-star restaurant, you fool. Our reputation. Get her out, or I'll have you thrown out with her." "Let go of me," Anna said, shaking him off. It was a small act of rebellion, but it felt like shifting a mountain. She ignored his sputtered protest and knelt on the cold, wet marble beside the old woman. "Ma'am," she said softly, touching the woman's bony, ice-cold shoulder. "Ma'am, can you hear me? Are you hurt?" The woman flinched, then focused on Anna's face. She was trembling so hard her teeth chattered. "Cold," she whispered. I'm lost. I can't find Elias. He'll be worried. I have to show him the map." Okay, we'll find Elias," Anna soothed, slipping her own thin cardigan off her shoulders and wrapping it around the woman. It was immediately soaked, but it was something. "My name is Anna. What's yours?" "It's... I have the bird," the woman murmured, her thoughts scattering like leaves. She fumbled at the pocket of her wet pajamas. "Look at this," Brenda said, stepping closer. She had pulled out her smartphone. The red record light was on. "St. Anna of the slums at it again. She's probably digging for a wallet, Henderson. I'd watch her." "Miss Sutton, put that phone away," Henderson snapped, though his eyes were on Anna with new suspicion. "Schmidt, I gave you an order. You are on property. You will obey me. Remove her. Now." "She needs a doctor, or at least some water," Anna pleaded, helping the woman into a sitting position. "She's freezing." "She needs a gutter," Mrs. Wainwright called from her table, loud enough for everyone to hear. "Disgusting." A small, ugly laugh bubbled up from Brenda. "She's right, Anna. You're fraternizing with trash. You'll probably catch something." Anna's jaw tightened. She looked at the shivering woman, then at the circle of hard, cruel faces watching her. Henderson, furious at his loss of control. Brenda filming with a smug smirk. The Wainwrights looking on as if this were all a terribly inconvenient floor show. "She's a human being," Anna said, her voice shaking with a sudden, cold anger. She stood up. Mr. Henderson, she is a human being who has collapsed. We are not moving her until we know she's okay. If you won't call an ambulance, I will." "You will do no such thing," Henderson shrieked. "You will not bring that kind of attention here. I am the manager, and I am ordering you." But Anna was already walking past him toward the bar. "What are you doing? I'm warning you, Schmidt." Anna ignored him, grabbing a clean, dry bar towel and a bottle of water. When she returned, she knelt and began to gently dry the woman's face and hands. The woman leaned into the touch, a small, grateful sigh escaping her. "Here," Anna said, opening the water. "Just a small sip." Mr. Henderson looked like he was about to explode. His face was a blotchy, furious red. You are contaminating the inventory. You are fired," he finally bellowed, the word echoing in the half-empty restaurant. Anna froze, the water bottle halfway to the woman's lips. Fired. The word was a death sentence. Her brother's tuition, the rent, the medical bills. It all flashed before her eyes. "You heard me," Henderson shouted, emboldened by her shock. "You are fired. You have disobeyed a direct order, harassed our guests, and brought this into my establishment. Pack your locker and get out, and take your filthy friend with you." Brenda's smile was triumphant. She was still recording. "Told you," she mouthed silently at Anna. Anna's world tilted. She was out. No job, no hope. She looked at the old woman, who was watching her with those same terrified, confused eyes. A wave of despair washed over her, so strong it almost buckled her knees. But then a strange, defiant calm settled in. If she was already fired, she had nothing left to lose. "No," Anna said, her voice clear and steady. Henderson's jaw dropped. What did you say?" "I said no," Anna repeated, turning her full attention back to the woman. "I'm not leaving her. Not like this. You can fire me. You can call the police. But I'm not leaving this woman alone in a storm. Do whatever you have to do." She helped the old woman take another sip of water, her back turned to her former manager, a bridge burning brightly behind her. Mr. Henderson was momentarily struck silent, his face purple. No one ever had defied him like this. He was used to his employees cowering. Anna's sudden spine was an offense he couldn't comprehend. "Security," he finally roared, stabbing a button on the host stand's phone. "Get security to the front entrance now." Brenda, sensing the climax, zoomed her phone's camera in on Anna's face. "You are so done, Schmidt," she whispered gleefully. "You're not just fired. You're going to be unemployable. I'm sending this video to every restaurant owner I know." Anna ignored her. The old woman was shivering worse now, her lips tinged with blue. Fired or not, Anna was a human first. She had to get her warm. "Okay," Anna said to the woman, her voice soft. "We're going to get you some soup. It's hot. It will help." "Soup?" the woman murmured. "Elias, he likes the soup with the little breads." "We'll get you the soup," Anna promised. She stood and walked, with a purpose she hadn't felt all night, straight toward the kitchen. "Where do you think you're going?" Henderson screeched, running to block her path. "You are trespassing. You are stealing." "I'm buying a bowl of soup for her," Anna said, pulling her wallet from her apron. She fumbled and pulled out the entirety of her tip money for the night, 3 $5 bills and a handful of change. "It's $15. I'm paying for it. It's the lobster bisque. It's hot." She pushed the crumpled bills into Henderson's chest. "Take it. It's paid for." Henderson looked at the money in his hand as if she'd handed him a dead rat. "You think you can buy my food? For her? This bisque is $60 a bowl. This is an insult." "Then it's an insult you'll have to live with," Anna said, pushing past him and through the in door of the kitchen. The kitchen staff, who had been watching the drama through the service window, fell silent. Miguel, the head chef, a pragmatic man who disliked Henderson but loved his kitchen, just raised an eyebrow. "I need a bowl of the bisque, chef," Anna said. "Henderson just fired you, Chica. You're not on the line." "I know. I'm paying. Here." She put her last dollar and change on his steel counter. "It's for the old woman who fell. She's freezing." Miguel looked at the small pile of change, then at Anna's desperate, determined face. He glanced over her shoulder, at Henderson, fuming in the doorway, and at Brenda, still filming. With a deep sigh, he grabbed a fine china bowl, one of the restaurant's best, ladled it full of the steaming, fragrant bisque, and added a side of toasted croutons. "Go," he said, pushing it into her hands. "Don't drop it. It's the last of the batch." "Thank you, Miguel." When Anna emerged, Henderson was vibrating with rage. "You stole! You stole that! That's theft! I'm adding it to the police report." "I paid the chef," Anna said calmly. She walked back to the entrance where the two security guards, burly men named Frank and Paul, had just arrived. They looked uncomfortable, taking in the scene: the tiny, shivering old woman, the furious manager, and the waitress holding a bowl of soup. "Frank, Paul, remove this thief," Henderson pointed at Anna, "and this vagrant," he pointed at the woman, "from the premises, immediately. Use force if necessary." Frank and Paul looked at each other. "Sir," Frank began, his voice a low rumble, "she's just an old lady, and the other one's got soup. It's pouring out there." "I don't care, it is my order." Okay, Giles, calm down," Paul said, holding up a hand. "Miss," he said to Anna, "you're fired. You gotta go. We can call a non-emergency line for the lady. They can take her to a shelter." "She needs help now," Anna insisted. She knelt, ignoring all of them, and held out the soup. "Here, be careful. It's hot." The old woman's eyes lit up. "Oh," she breathed, "that smells like home." Her hands were shaking too badly to hold the spoon, so Anna gently scooped a small amount and held it to her lips. The woman sipped, and a little color returned to her cheeks. "Thank you," she whispered. "You're a good girl." "You see," Brenda narrated to her phone, "she's feeding it. Right on the floor. This is a health code violation. This is disgusting. Henderson, she's going to get us shut down." Mrs. Wainwright from her table had also taken out her phone. "Robert, are you seeing this? I'm posting this to the club's message board. The Gilded Spoon, now serving the homeless on the floor. This is simply unacceptable." "That's it!" Henderson screamed. The bad publicity was the final straw. "Frank, Paul, get her! Now! I don't care how you do it!" The two guards, their faces set, moved forward. "Ma'am," Frank said, his voice now firm, "put down the soup. You have to leave." "Just let her finish," Anna pleaded. "It's freezing outside. She'll get hypothermia." "Now, miss." Paul gently took the bowl from her hand and set it on the floor. Frank took Anna's arm, pulling her to her feet. "No, please," Anna cried, trying to shrug him off. The old woman saw Anna being pulled away and her face crumpled in terror. "No, don't take her. She's my friend. Elias, she cried out, her voice suddenly strong with panic. As Frank dragged Anna toward the door and Paul bent down to lift the old woman, she thrashed weakly, fumbling in her pajama pocket. "Wait," the woman cried. For helping." She shoved something small and hard into Anna's hand, closing Anna's fingers around it just as Frank pulled her away. "Get out," Henderson yelled, shoving the door open himself. Frank, with an apologetic look, half pushed, half guided Anna through the door and into the driving rain. Paul followed a second later, carrying the old woman, who was now weeping softly. He set her down on the wet pavement, under the meager shelter of the restaurant's awning. "I'm sorry, miss," Frank said, his voice low. "It's our job." The heavy oak door of the Gilded Spoon slammed shut, the thud sounding final. The lock clicked. Anna stood there, drenched in an instant, her thin work uniform plastered to her skin. She was fired. She was humiliated. She was standing in a puddle with a weeping, disoriented old woman beside her, and in her clenched fist she felt the object the woman had given her. She opened her hand. It was a small, intricately carved wooden bird. It was smooth, made of a dark, rich wood, and it was missing a wing, but it was clearly old and clearly treasured. "For Elias," the woman whimpered beside her. I lost the map, but I have the bird." Anna looked at the bird, then at the woman. "It's okay," Anna said, her own voice breaking as she knelt in the puddle. "It's okay. We're okay. My name is Anna. What's yours?" "Margaret," the woman whispered, leaning her head on Anna's shoulder. "My name is Margaret." Anna held her, shielding her from the wind with her own body, and wondered if it was possible to die of a broken heart. The world was a swirl of rain and blurred headlights. Anna shivered, the cold seeping into her bones, but she held Margaret tightly. The old woman's shivers had subsided into a troubling stillness. "Margaret, Margaret, stay with me," Anna urged, gently shaking her. "We need to get you warm." But where? Her apartment was miles away, a bus ride she couldn't afford without a job. She had no money for a cab. She was well and truly stranded. Inside the Gilded Spoon, life had already reset. Anna could see Mr. Henderson bowing deeply to the Wainwrights as they finally prepared to leave. Brenda was at the bar, laughing with the bartender, probably recounting her victory. They were warm. They were dry. They were safe. A raw, bitter anger, one Anna had never felt before, flooded her. It wasn't fair. None of it was fair. She looked down at Margaret. The woman's eyes were closed. "Elias," she breathed. "Okay, Margaret. Elias," Anna said, her resolve hardening. "We're going to find him." She looked at the woman more closely. She wasn't just wearing pajamas. Anna realized they were silk pajamas, though now ruined. And the one fuzzy slipper was high quality, not something from a discount store. And then Anna saw it. Half hidden under the cuff of her own cardigan, which was still on Margaret's arm, was a bracelet. It wasn't a cheap plastic hospital band. It was a sleek silver chain, almost like a piece of jewelry. But on the flat rectangular centerpiece, there was a small engraved medical alert symbol. Anna gently turned the woman's wrist. On the back of the silver plate, etched in small, clear letters, was a name and a phone number. Margaret Donovan. In case of emergency call, E. Donovan. "Donovan?" Anna whispered, the name striking a faint, distant bell. Donovan, like Donovan Holdings, the massive, faceless corporation that was building the new glass tower downtown. "Margaret Donovan," Anna said, her heart starting to pound. Is your son Elias Donovan?" Margaret's eyes fluttered open. "My son. Yes. He's a good boy. A busy boy. He's waiting for me." Before Anna could even process this, before she could figure out how to get to a phone, the world changed. Two beams of light, sharp and white, cut through the rain. A long, impossibly black car, a Bentley Anna recognized from the magazines the patrons left behind, screeched to a halt in the no-stopping zone in front of the restaurant, its engine a low, powerful growl that was felt more than heard. The driver's door flew open and a man emerged. He was tall, dressed in a perfectly tailored dark suit that was getting soaked in seconds, but he didn't seem to notice. His dark hair was disheveled, and his face, which looked like it was carved from granite, was a mask of pure, unadulterated panic. He scanned the street, his eyes wild. "Mother!" he shouted, his voice a raw bark of fear. His eyes locked on the two women huddled under the awning. In 3 long strides, he was there, falling to his knees on the wet pavement in front of Margaret. "Mother! Oh my God, Mother!" He stripped off his suit jacket and wrapped it around her, pulling her into a fierce, desperate hug. We've been looking for hours. The new nurse, she turned her back for 1 minute. "Elias," Margaret whispered, her voice full of relief. She smiled, a faint but genuine smile. "Elias, I found a friend. She's nice. Her name is Anna." She patted Anna's cheek with a cold hand. "And she gave me soup." Elias Donovan's head snapped up. His eyes, a piercing, intelligent blue, just like his mother's, met Anna's. He took in the scene in a fraction of a second. Anna shivering in her thin, soaked uniform, her own worn cardigan on his mother, the half-eaten bowl of expensive bisque on the pavement beside them. His gaze was no longer panicked. It was sharp, assessing, and utterly unreadable. Just then, the door of the Gilded Spoon opened again. Mr. Henderson bustled out, holding a large umbrella, followed by the Wainwrights. "Sir! Sir!" Henderson called out, spotting the Bentley. He assumed it was a chauffeur for the Wainwrights. "Your car is here. Such a pleasure to have you this evening, Mr. and Mrs. Wainwright. Please come again soon." Mr. Wainwright grunted, but his wife stopped. "Oh, look, Robert, the riffraff is still here, and it seems to have multiplied." Henderson's smile froze as he saw Elias Donovan kneeling on his pavement, cradling the old woman. He didn't recognize him, not at first. He just saw an expensive suit soiled by proximity to the vagrant. "Sir," Henderson said sharply, marching over. "Sir, I must ask you to move. You are blocking the exit for our esteemed guests. This woman is a vagrant, and this girl," he gestured to Anna with contempt, "is a fired employee I've had removed for theft. I've already called the authorities to collect them." Elias Donovan gently settled his mother against his chest and rose slowly to his full height. He was a good 6 inches taller than Henderson, and he seemed to draw all the light from the street into himself, radiating a cold, dangerous energy. "You're the manager?" Elias asked, his voice dangerously quiet. "I am," Henderson said, puffing out his chest, oblivious. "Giles Henderson. And you are—" "He's Elias Donovan, you idiot," Mr. Wainwright suddenly choked out, his face going pale. He had just recognized the man who was on the cover of last month's Forbes. The name hit the rainy street like a bolt of lightning. Brenda, who had come to the window to watch Anna's final humiliation, pressed her face against the glass, her jaw dropping. Mr. Henderson's blood visibly drained from his face. His fawning smile reappeared, but it was a grotesque, terrified grimace. Mr. Donovan, good heavens, a pleasure. What a surprise. I had no idea. You, Elias cut him off, his voice like ice. Called my mother? A vagrant? No, it's a misunderstanding, Henderson stammered, flapping his hands. She wandered in. She's filthy. We didn't know. How could we know? She fell. Anna's voice, small but clear, cut through the noise. She fell and she was cold, and she was scared. Elias's gaze snapped back to Anna. And this employee, Henderson said, seeing his chance to deflect. She made a scene. She stole soup from the kitchen, fed her on the floor like a dog. She destroyed the ambiance. She harassed Mr. and Mrs. Wainwright. I fired her to protect the restaurant's integrity. Elias looked at Anna, who was standing her ground, trembling but resolute. Then he looked at his mother, warm and safe in his jacket. Then he looked at the bowl of soup on the ground. You, Elias said to Henderson, left my mother, who is ill, in a storm. And you, Elias said, his voice dropping to a whisper, fired the only person on this entire city block who showed her a shred of human decency. Mr. Donovan, please, Henderson begged, if you'll just come inside. A misunderstanding. Your meal, your drinks, everything is on the house. For life. Elias Donovan let out a short, sharp laugh. It was a terrifying sound. A meal? He said. You think this is about a meal? A second black car, a large Escalade, pulled up behind the Bentley. A large man in a suit, Mr. Peterson, got out, holding a tablet. Sir, he said, we have her. She's safe. She is, Peterson. No thanks to these people. Elias turned his full, frigid attention back to the manager. Mr. Henderson, you have 30 seconds to explain to me why I shouldn't tear this building down, brick by worthless brick, with you still inside it. Giles Henderson's world, so carefully constructed of starched linen and feigned superiority, crumbled in that single rain-soaked moment. Mr. Donovan, I am so sorry, he babbled, his reedy voice cracking. It's policy. We have standards. She was confusing the guests. She didn't look like your mother. She didn't look rich, you mean? Elias translated, his voice lethally calm. He gently guided his mother, who was now drowsy but calm in his embrace, toward the open door of the Bentley, where Mr. Peterson helped her settle into the plush leather interior. Mr. Donovan, Brenda Sutton suddenly appeared, running out of the restaurant without a coat, her hair instantly plastered to her head. Mr. Donovan, I tried to help. I told Anna to stop making a scene. I told her she was upsetting the nice old lady. I was trying to protect your mother from her. Anna, who had been silent, finally spoke. You what? She gasped, dumbfounded by the audacity of the lie. You filmed me. You mocked her. You called her trash. She's lying, Brenda shrieked, pointing a shaking finger at Anna. She's a thief and a liar. Henderson fired her. Ask him. She's just trying to get money from you. Elias turned his gaze to Brenda. It was so cold, so analytical, she physically flinched. Peterson, Elias said without looking away from her. Sir, the assistant replied. He had been quietly speaking into his phone. I've already been in contact with the restaurant's kitchen staff, a Chef Miguel. He confirmed Miss Schmidt paid for the soup from her own tips after Mr. Henderson refused. He also mentioned that the waitress named Brenda Sutton was filming the entire incident and providing color commentary. Brenda's face went from pale to a sickly green. Ah, Elias said, so you not only failed to act, you documented your own cruelty. How efficient. It was a joke, Brenda stammered. I deleted it. People rarely do, Elias mused. But it doesn't matter. You see, Mr. Wainwright, he said, turning his attention to the couple who were frozen by the door. I'm so glad you're here. You're a witness. You who complained about the element being let in. That element was Margaret Donovan. Mr. Wainwright looked as if he was having a heart attack. Elias, Mr. Donovan, a terrible mistake. Save it, Elias snapped. Your firm, Wainwright and Pierce, you handle our regional logistics contracts, don't you? Yes, sir, for 12 years, Wainwright said, his voice small. Then you'll understand logistics. I'm having my legal team send you a notice of contract termination in the morning, effective immediately. Elias, no, please, Mrs. Wainwright cried, her mask of arrogance shattering. It's a billion-dollar contract. It will ruin us. It will, Elias agreed, as if discussing the weather. You should have thought of that before you demanded a human being be removed like garbage. Get out of my sight. The Wainwrights stared, horrified, then defeated, scrambled to their own car and sped off. Now only Henderson and Brenda remained on the pavement, with Anna standing apart, still clutching the small wooden bird. As for you, Mr. Henderson, Elias continued, turning back, the main event. Mr. Donovan, I can fix this, Henderson pleaded, clasping his hands. I'll fire Brenda. I'll rehire Anna. I'll give her a raise, a promotion. She can be manager. Anna stared at him, disgusted. Elias laughed. You're going to promote her? You think you have that power? You think you have any power at all? I am the general manager of the Gilded Spoon. This is my restaurant. This, Elias said, gesturing to the gleaming, opulent building, is my restaurant. This is my building. This is my city block. Henderson's jaw, which had been opening and closing like a fish, simply hung open. What? Donovan Holdings, Elias explained, as one would to a child. We own the property, all of it, the Gilded Spoon, the offices above it, the parking garage below it. You are, Mr. Henderson, a tenant, and as of this moment, your lease is terminated. You can't, Henderson wailed. We have a contract. It's for 5 more years. Read the fine print, Elias said. Section 4, subsection B. Conduct detrimental to the property's reputation. Failure to adhere to basic public morality clauses. You, sir, are the definition of conduct detrimental. You have humiliated my family. You have sullied my property. You are finished. Henderson staggered back, sliding down the wall until he was sitting on the wet pavement, a completely broken man. No, my life. It's over. It is, Elias agreed. He turned to Brenda, who was trying to back away into the shadows. Oh, no, you don't. I quit, she squeaked. You can't quit, Elias said, because Mr. Henderson, your employer, is about to be bankrupt. And as for your video, I'd suggest you find a new line of work, Miss Sutton, because I'm personally buying every share of Restaurant Weekly in City Hospitality Guild I can get my hands on. Your face and your story will be on the cover of both by Wednesday. You'll be lucky to get a job washing dishes in Antarctica. Brenda let out a small, strangled sob and ran, disappearing into the night. The street was suddenly blissfully quiet, save for the rain and the low hum of the Bentley's engine. Elias Donovan stood in the center of the wreckage of 3 lives, breathing heavily. He ran a hand through his wet hair, the anger draining from him, leaving only exhaustion. He turned at last to Anna. She hadn't moved. She was just watching, her eyes wide, still clutching the wooden bird. She looked like a refugee, caught between a war zone and an unknown country. "Ms.?" he asked, his voice suddenly gentle. "Anna," she whispered. "Anna Schmidt. Ms. Schmidt, Anna." He walked over to her, standing a respectful distance away. "My mother. She has early onset Alzheimer's. It's progressing. She gets confused. She wanders. The new nurse was not sufficient, but my mother, she's a very good judge of character, always has been, even now." He looked at his mother, asleep in the warm car, then back at Anna. "You had every reason to walk away. You lost your job. You were mocked. You were thrown out. Yet you stayed with her. You kept her safe. You gave her soup." "She was cold," Anna said simply, as if it were the only explanation needed. Elias's expression softened. "You wrapped her in your own cardigan." He gestured to her shivering arms. "You are freezing." Before she could protest, he was at the Escalade, pulling a thick, dry wool blanket from the back seat and wrapping it around her shoulders. It was heavy and warm, and smelled faintly of leather and cedar. "I cannot," he said, "repay what you did tonight. Kindness like that, it's priceless." I don't need anything," Anna stammered, overwhelmed. I'm just glad she's safe." She opened her fist and held out the small wooden bird. She gave me this. She said it was for you. She said she lost the map, but she had the bird." Elias looked at the small carving, and for the first time his composure broke. His eyes flooded, and he took the bird with a hand that trembled slightly. "My father," he said, his voice thick, "carved this for me the year before he died. We were poor then. This was my only toy. My mother, when she gets confused, she looks for it. She thinks it's a map that will lead her back to him, back to when things were simple." He closed his hand around the bird. "Thank you for finding it, for finding her." He looked at her, truly looked at her, and saw the exhaustion, the poverty, the iron-strong decency. "You're out of a job," he stated. "Yes," she whispered, the cold reality crashing back. "Good," he said, "because I have a better one for you." Anna stared at him, the heavy wool blanket a cocoon of warmth against the storm. A job?" "A job," Elias confirmed. He gestured to the warm, dry interior of the Bentley where his mother was sleeping peacefully. "I need someone to care for my mother. But care isn't the right word. The world is full of nurses I can hire. I've hired 10. They're all clinically proficient. What I need, what she needs, is a companion, an advocate, a friend, someone who sees her and not her illness or her bank account." He paused, his gaze intense. "Someone who would feed her soup on a cold floor, even if it costs them everything. I saw you, Ms. Schmidt. You weren't just being kind, you were being brave." Anna was speechless. Her mind was reeling from the events of the last hour, from fired waitress to this. I'm not a nurse," she managed to say. "I don't have any qualifications." "You have the only qualification that matters," Elias said firmly. "Compassion, integrity, my mother's foundation, the Donovan Foundation. We specialize in funding Alzheimer's and elder care research. We can get you any training you need. You'll have a team of medical professionals at your disposal. But I want you to be in charge of her world, to make sure she is safe and respected and happy." He named a salary that made Anna's head spin. It was more than she made in a year. "And of course," he added, "housing will be provided. There is a 2-bedroom suite in my home, connected to my mother's, for her primary companion. You would, of course, have nights and weekends off, a full staff to support you." Tears, hot and sudden, sprang to Anna's eyes. It wasn't just the money. It was the whiplash of justice. The thought of not having to choose between rent and food. The thought of her brother, Cody. "My brother," she began, he's in a trade school. It's expensive. And my mother's medical bills?" "Pay them," Elias said simply. "Consider it a signing bonus. Give my assistant, Mr. Peterson, the details. They will be paid in full by noon tomorrow. He reached into his pocket and produced a simple, elegant business card. My personal number. I don't know what to say, Anna whispered, the tears now tracking down her cold cheeks. Say yes, Elias said, a small, tired smile touching his lips. Please, my mother. She trusts you, and after tonight, so do I. Anna looked from his earnest face to the sleeping woman in the car. She thought of Mr. Henderson, sitting ruined on the pavement. She thought of Brenda, running into the rain, and she thought of herself, just moments ago, hopeless and cold. Yes, Anna said, her voice firm. Yes, I accept. Good. The relief in his voice was profound. Peterson will handle the mess. Here. He gestured to the dark, disgraced restaurant and the pathetic form of Giles Henderson, who was now being spoken to by Frank and Paul, the security guards. What about them? Anna asked, nodding to the guards, who had, in the end, just been doing their jobs. Peterson, Elias called. The assistant was at his side instantly. The two security guards, Frank and Paul, what's their status? Contracted, sir, through Henderson's management company, not through us. Fix it, Elias ordered. Hire them. Double their salary. I want them on my payroll, guarding this building. They showed hesitation before following an immoral order. I respect that. Everyone else, the entire staff that stood by and watched severance packages. 2 weeks. They can find work elsewhere. The Gilded Spoon is closed. Permanently. He then turned back to Anna. I believe, he said, I promised my mother a real meal, and I believe you are long overdue for one. He opened the passenger door of the Bentley. Please, Anna, let's go home. Anna took a deep breath. She let the heavy, soaked wool blanket fall from her shoulders, leaving it on the pavement. She didn't need it anymore. She was still in her damp, cheap waitress uniform, but for the first time in her life, she didn't feel poor. She didn't feel invisible. She walked past the wreckage of her old life and slid into the warm, quiet luxury of the car. Elias got in the driver's side, and with a barely audible sigh, the car pulled away from the curb, leaving the Gilded Spoon, Mr. Henderson, and the whole ugly night behind them. As they drove, Margaret stirred in the back. Elias, she murmured. I'm here, Mother, he said, his eyes meeting Anna's in the rearview mirror. Is Anna here? I'm here, Margaret, Anna said, turning in her seat. Oh, good, Margaret sighed, smiling as she drifted back to sleep. We're all safe. You found the map. Anna looked at the city lights flashing past, no longer cold, no longer afraid. Yes, she whispered. We're all safe. The weeks that followed were a blur. Anna moved out of her cramped, cold apartment and into a beautiful, light-filled suite at the Donovan estate, a sprawling, historic property that felt more like a nature preserve than a home. Cody's tuition was paid. Her mother's medical debts vanished. For the first time in her adult life, Anna could breathe. She excelled at her new role. She wasn't just a companion, she became Margaret's anchor. She learned, through the medical team Elias provided, how to navigate the confusing, frightening tides of Margaret's memory. She learned that Margaret loved painting, and they spent hours in the sunny conservatory with watercolors. She learned she loved old black and white movies, and they'd curl up with popcorn and watch them in the private theater. Anna brought life back to a house that had been running on quiet, efficient, sterile schedules. She also became a buffer and a bridge for Elias. He was a brilliant man, but he was mired in the logistics of his empire, often approaching his mother's illness as a problem to be solved. Anna taught him, gently, to just be with her. One afternoon, about 2 months later, Elias found Anna in the library sketching out a schedule. She's napping, Anna said, smiling. We had a big morning. We visited Paris. Now, this involved French pastries and a documentary. Anna, Elias said, his tone serious, I need to talk to you. Anna's heart faltered. Is everything okay? Everything is more than okay. He sat across from her. I'm dissolving the executive board of the Donovan Foundation. What? Why? I thought they were in charge of all the Alzheimer's research. They are, or they were, Elias said. They're good people. But they're corporate. They're boardroom people. They're focused on high-level grants and pharmaceutical partnerships. But they're missing the ground floor. He slid a thick, leather-bound portfolio across the table. I'm restructuring, and I'm offering you the position of Executive Director of Patient and Family Outreach. Anna stared at him. Executive Director? Elias, I'm a waitress. I'm your mother's companion. You were a waitress, he corrected her, his gaze firm. What you are is the most compassionate, resourceful, and morally grounded person I have ever met. You've changed my mother's life in 2 months more than my millions of dollars have in 2 years. I'm not giving this to you, Anna. I need you for it. He opened the portfolio. It was full of plans. I want to open a network of gilded spoons, but in reverse. High-end, beautiful day centers that offer free, dignified respite care for families who can't afford it. Places that offer art therapy, music, good food. Places that feel like a luxury, not a last resort. Places that treat people with the dignity they deserve, regardless of what they look like. He looked at her. I can't run this. I'm a numbers guy. I need someone with a heart. I need you. Tears welled in Anna's eyes. Elias, yes, of course, yes. There's one more thing, he said, pulling a small velvet box from his pocket. Anna's breath caught. He smiled, a genuine warm smile. It's not that, not yet anyway. He opened the box. Inside, resting on a bed of satin, was the small wooden bird. Its missing wing had been meticulously restored by a master craftsman. A tiny piece of new, light-colored maple fitted seamlessly against the old mahogany. I wanted you to have this, Elias said, as a reminder of that night, of what you did, and to remind me that even when things are broken, they can be made whole again. Anna took the bird, its weight familiar in her hand. She looked from the small restored carving to the powerful, kind man in front of her. She thought of the journey that had brought her here, a journey that started with a fall, an act of defiance, and a simple bowl of soup. Her old life was gone, burned away in a single night of rain and cruelty. But from those ashes, she had built a new foundation, one of kindness, respect, and a love she was just beginning to understand. She wasn't an invisible stagehand anymore. She was finally the lead. And so, Anna's story teaches us a powerful and very real lesson. The true measure of a person isn't the clothes they wear, the car they drive, or the balance in their bank account. It's how they treat those who have nothing to offer them. Giles Henderson, Brenda Sutton, and the Wainwrights saw only trash. Anna Schmidt saw a human being. In that moment of choice, their worlds were sealed. The cruel were cast down, and the kind was lifted up. Karma, you see, is the ultimate auditor. It doesn't care about your status. It cares about your actions. Remember this story the next time you see someone in need. You never know whose life you might be saving or whose world you might be about to change. If this story touched your heart, please help us share it. Click that like button, share this video with your friends and family, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more real-life stories that prove kindness is the most valuable currency we have. We'll see you in the next video.